everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is producer Brandi's brainchild, so I'm gonna just toss it over to her. She's actually hosting the video today. I'm just here as an accessory.
I've moved up in the world.
That's why she's in this chair.
Yeah, this is the I was gonna say the producer seat, but that's a lie. Yeah, it's the host seat now. Yeah. But yeah, I texted Mackenzie the other day and was like, hey, had this conversation with somebody else, and I thought it could be potentially a video idea if you haven't talked about it before. And so that idea is, what do your star ratings really mean when you go to rate your books? Because you as a watcher, or you or I, probably know what we think when we rate a book or we see somebody rating a book, but that might not be what somebody else is thinking or how they take it.
And also, as you mentioned, her 3-star is different than my 3-star. And I think that's kind of another point of where this started. You were like, hey, I saw that you rated this book 3 stars, but you gave a really good review on it. Mm-hmm. And for you, you're like, 3 stars is it's kind of a mess.
Yeah, I was very surprised you had a positive comment alongside it. So yeah, that also kind of played into, hey, this is not just me having a different opinion than this one person. Now I'm actually watching it play out on Goodreads or StoryGraph or wherever it is. But I guess with that, do you want me to say how I rate my books? Do you want to say how you rate your books? Or just any thoughts that you may have off the top of your head?
I'm just along for the ride today. I think maybe you start. It's your video, Brandi.
Okay. So I guess let's just start with a 3 rating, since it's right there in the middle.
Okay. Your average rating.
Yes. So for me, a 3 really is average. And I don't mean that in a positive way. And I think this is one of the big places that we will differ. For me, if I'm giving a book a 3-star rating, that means at least part of the book I probably did not enjoy. And I may or may not recommend it to somebody, but it's because they're saying, hey, I want a book about a cat that goes to the circus. And I'll be like, hey, I happen to read a book at some point
about a cat that goes to the circus.
Yeah, it's a very specific scenario that I'm like, this book hits that mark. I otherwise probably wouldn't have recommended it.
So just because, again, we're talking about how everyone might have a different understanding. I think it's very well described, but in my brain, I'm listening to you and thinking, and the 2 things that came to my mind for out of 5 stars, a 3-star rating for you is meh.
Mm-hmm.
It's meh. Or
what I was gonna say, and I think it's important to add. Actually, no, I'm gonna hold. Never mind.
Okay, I'll do this one, and then hold them. And then I have one more word that came to mind, and then you can tell me
mm-hmm.
how that fits. And then the other one is, from I feel 2 years ago, it was really popular, the mid.
I don't think I was reading yet for that.
It wasn't reading. It was just social media. I think it was TikTok.
Oh, well, I also am not on TikTok. So maybe I was like, I'm clearly missing something. I don't get the reference.
Oh, so do you know? Maybe you don't know. At least on my social media, across my social media, 2 years ago, it was this meme of mid, and for real, one of the things that this person said was, your Cincinnati Bengals, mid.
I'm just more upset they said Cincinnati and mid were great.
Have you seen our football team recently?
Well, that's why I didn't say the Bengals. I said Cincinnati. Excuse you. I wasn't going to acknowledge that portion of it. And 2 years ago, weren't we less bad than we are right now?
Yeah.
Okay. This isn't a football channel, so it's okay, guys.
It's not.
I'm hoping there's not too much crossover and people have too many comments on that.
You know what? If you do channel engagement, come for the football, stay for the books, because the books are what is actually going to be here.
The only reason I'm going to disagree to the mid is because that almost makes it feel more fun than how I feel about a 3-star rating.
Fair enough. So meh was closer.
Yeah, I would say typically it's meh. Now, again, so now let's think me going towards a 4. Because obviously, if we're thinking beyond Goodreads, we do have our 0.25s, 0.5, 0.75. But if we're just jumping straight to a 4,
I think we jump to the 4 and then that and give an actual solid number, because then you can infer 0.2 2.5 is closer to 3, but a little bit better than me.
Well, and I was going to say, so the reason I'm jumping to 4 is because for me, typically a 4 means there's a good chance that I'm going to recommend it just of, hey, I know you like this general genre. I'm going to let you know about it, whether or not you've mentioned that specific cat with the circus. But it also means that I enjoyed the story pretty much the entire time. Like, yeah, there may be like the one-off, like, okay, I didn't really care about that plot line, but overall I was engaged with the book. So for me, a 3 being meh, like that's a big jump that I do feel like there's a lot that happens in that 3 to 4 range.
Which means your quarter markings have more significance.
I would agree with that. And so the other point that I was going to add that I'm like, is important somewhere, and I just don't know where to bring it up. But I also don't like to give books below a 3 unless I genuinely do not like them, because at the end of the day, someone took the time to write this book.
They wrote that book. That book.
They did. And
they write that book.
And I want to support them.
Yeah.
So I have to genuinely dislike it to go below a 3. Now, looking at that 1 to 2 mark, I think you can do quarter marks between 2 to 3. But if you're doing quarter marks below a 2, what makes it really bad?
If you're doing a 1.5, tell us the book and tell us why.
Right.
Those are important things.
Like, I just can't imagine doing a quarter mark on those. So, like, 1 is just, no, I hate this. I did not finish it. Or I think the one book that I've given a 1, I did finish. But even in 2 hours, it took me an entire day to listen to it and then just sped up audiobook. And I was still like, I'm doing this for the reading count. So and it pulled my eyes out.
So to like recap before we go to your last one, 1 is almost synonymous with DNF for you.
I should have DNF'd it, yeah.
Okay, so because you're not big on DNFing, and that's okay. That's totally fine. It's totally fine to DNF. It's totally fine to persist.
This was a 2-hour book, and I was like, you can finish it, dang it.
So you have your DNF, I guess is going to be your bottom, and then you have your 1 star, which is basically I should have DNF.
I'm clawing my eyes out, yes.
But I persisted. 2 is like, why did I read it? But you didn't necessarily like DNF it.
Maybe not why did I read it, but something about it I genuinely did not enjoy.
So 2 is like, you did not like. Okay.
Yeah, there was something about it I did not enjoy. And so like for me, I am thinking of a specific book where it was one that was meant to make you uncomfortable. But I think it made me so uncomfortable that I was like, we went past the message you were trying to give me. I just wasn't comfortable reading it the entire time. That it is a negative view in my brain.
And then 3 is, like we said, meh. 4 is a good book.
I very much enjoyed it. And then a 5 is, I'm going to tell everybody, even if they don't read that genre, that they should read it.
Give it a try.
But I don't think it had to change my life. Because I know some people feel like 5s need to change your life. And I'm like, nah, if I really, really vibed with it, heck yeah, you get a 5. Let's go.
Let's freaking go.
But it's all vibes, let's be honest.
It's all vibes.
It is all vibes.
I like to say, as we all know on this channel, I'm a big fan of Carrie Can Read. She's awesome. And whenever she's doing like ranking videos, she always like does a little disclosure, like, this is how I feel in this moment, in this point in time.
So valid.
And I've started saying that as well, because so valid. And like reading a book, it is that point in time. It is what's going on outside of my life that is influencing how I'm feeling about this book. So at this point in time,
Yes. Now, before you go and give your
I started to like go into it. I'm like, no, I need to pull back, because I'm like, you're not finished.
No. I was gonna say, like, I'm good with like where I'm standing with my like 5. That's kind of where I'm thinking most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
But before I hear yours, only because you said this, and I'm like, I will 100% forget. Do you think you should change ratings after the fact? And when I say after the fact, I mean like more than just like, hey, I rated this an hour ago. You know what? I actually think it was a little better or a little worse. I mean, like, you go 6 months and go, you know what? This was actually this.
Okay. So that's actually a really great question, I think.
And if you want to hold on it, you can be like, let me answer.
No, I can answer right now. And it's just like, it's changed for me over the past, like, I'm going to say 2 years, from like when I first got back into reading, like I didn't even count audiobooks to, like, again, it's just like you grow and you decide what's important to you. And when I first started reading, I didn't even count audiobooks as reading because I was like, it's not actually reading. And it is. Any type of reading is reading. And then, like, even last year, I didn't consider rereads towards my reading goal. And this is the first year. 2026 is the year where I am just like, F it. Did I read the book? Then it counts. Did I reread that book? I still read a book this year. I still consumed content. It doesn't have to be new content. Let's be real. There's so many details in a book that if you, like, even if you reread it every year, you might pick up on something new. So with all of that in mind, with all of the growth that I feel like I've had reading and reading books, and I feel like last year, maybe the year before that, like 2024, I think is when I actually started to like have the goal of writing a review and not just marking it as read. And then 2025, I started keeping the list on my phone of where everything ranked.
Okay.
And at the end of 2025, when I did my like tier ranking, all my 5-star reads, go check out that video if you haven't, or if you just want to look at it again. It's a lot of Christmas romances.
It happens.
But when I was like looking at, when I was pulling off of my list, my 5-star reads, there was, and that's also kind of what inspired the video, because I'm like, throughout the whole year, through 12 months, I read these books. And these are the ones that I, in a point in time, rated 5 stars. And so it's kind of like a reevaluation. And this is a really long-winded way to say that, yeah, I think it's okay to change your rating. I think it's okay to change your rating after you've sat with it for a while. Once you've compared it to other books that you've read. And I think it's okay if you reread a book to give it more or less stars, depending on like where you are in your life.
So when you are like going back and reflecting, will you actually go back to Goodreads, StoryGraph, wherever, and re-rate it? Which I know that social media is not the end-all be-all. Like, you know, mentally you can rank it any time.
I don't go back and change across my reading platforms because part of it is just like, that would be so much work. Like, let's be real. That would be so much work. And part of it is, well, in the point in time when I was fresh in reading it, that's how I felt. I just finished actually rereading the third Bridgerton book because the Netflix series is out of order.
You just got to give me the sibling.
Yeah, okay.
I assume Benedict's book?
I just finished reading Benedict's book, and, you know, I don't think, when I first read it, I was just marking things as read. So in that instance, I didn't have a star to update. But I think that I ended up rating it in this reread higher than when I was actually
going through the series.
Because for me, that's the third. I know you just want the sibling.
But I'm like, I now know for sure who we're talking about.
The first two, Daphne and Antony, those two are like some of my favorite of the series, and then going from them directly into Benedict's, like, it's not a bad book, but it was definitely like a lower star in my opinion.
It's kind of like the conversation we had about Percy Jackson when I said you should read that other book before you go back and reread the ones you like.
I don't dislike them. They're not as favorite.
Overall, though, I would agree with the overall sentiment. I think, especially if you reread a book, at that point, go in and change your rating if it changed. If you're like, hey, I rated this a 4 before and it's still a 4, awesome, great, don't change it. But if you're just like, it's been 6 months and I'm like, I should have rated that lower. Sometimes I feel like it's a little weird that people go back and just change it. I mean, you can do what you want. You know, I'm not going to stop you and I'm not going to berate you for doing this. I just don't think it's something I would do, even if I go back and go, it probably wasn't as good as I first thought in that moment. I was having my book hangover.
I almost think it's helpful when people do that. Again, not saying that I'm going to do that because that's just too much for me. But like if I'm reading reviews and like I see someone was like updated review. I changed it. I increased it because I sat with it for a month and I was like, you know what? Actually, yeah, it hit harder than I thought. I'm still thinking about it. Or I sat with it for a month and I was just like in a weird spot, and that was why it was hitting.
Yeah, which is totally fair. That is why, like, as you said that before, I was like, ooh, I'm gonna ask this question because somebody posted it on their reading Instagram being like, ooh, hot take. And I was like, this is a take in general. I have never thought about this. And so I was like, ooh, let me ask you this right now because we haven't had this conversation either.
I try to remember that, like, for me, hot takes shouldn't really be hot because basically we all have our own opinions.
And then spicy takes.
Well, then I have to like talk myself back from the edge because I'll be like, hot takes don't exist because we're all just living in this world and it's great. And then someone will be like, this book sucks. And I'm like, how dare you disrespect my child?
Yeah.
And then I have to go like, wait, Mackenzie, not everyone likes the same books as you, and that's okay. That's what makes us fun and interesting.
Yeah. If we all like the same things,
it wouldn't be fun.
The whole world would be boring. That's what my mom always said. And I wanted to punch her every single time as a child because I'd be like, I don't like this. And she'd be like, blah, blah, blah.
Well, someone does.
And I'm just like, I don't care about them. I care about me right now. And it's because I heard it so many times that I was like, what you're going to say. All right, not the point. What is
still a good point.
It's still a good point. What is your star rating? And feel free to be less chaotic than I was because I was kind of like, this one and this one and this one, or be chaotic. This is kind of a chaos monster video because I'm hosting.
Yeah. This is producer Brandi.
Yeah, that's why I'm producer Brandi, not host Brandi on a regular basis. But we'll see what chaos comes out of this.
I'm sure it's going to be great.
Heck yeah, it is.
I'll do the same thing as you. I'm going to start with 3. So for me, 3 is a good book. Like, I will recommend a 3-star book. For me, like, I also...
So it doesn't just have to be a cat in a circus situation.
Well, it's like, I don't really like rating below a 3 because, like you said,
someone took the time to write a book.
Someone worked hard to write that book, to edit that book, to get it out in the world. And I feel like I'm a little bit more willing to DNF a book than you are. And if I DNF a book, on Goodreads, I think I've started a shelf that says DNF. But like on the StoryGraph, it has the option, and I think on Fable it also has the option to DNF.
It does.
StoryGraph has the option to pause, which is probably what I'm going to do with the audiobook I'm currently reading, because I don't think it's circling back to like, it might be a time I think I would like this audiobook, but the headspace I'm in right now, I don't think I'm going to finish it. So, like, I don't want to DNF it, but I don't want to finish it. So I'm going to pause it. I'm going to pause it on the StoryGraph, I think, return it to the library. That was a side rant. But, so for me, a 3 is, like, a good book. I'm, like, vibing with it. I'm like, this is great. We had a good time. It was fun. It wasn't that serious.
So, based on your rating, it's making me think, okay, compared to mine, your 3 is, like, my 3.5. Which is not a bad thing. I think it's just where I go, ooh, okay, now we're starting to get into like more positive vibes.
And so that's where I'm thinking like your quarter marks have a lot more, like between your 3 and 4 is a lot different than between my 3 and 4. And when you are going like 3.25, like that has a bigger difference for you than it does for me.
Yes.
And I think that's fine.
Yeah, I'm saying, hey, this is actually a little better than meh. 3.25 is the mid.
3.25 is mid.
Because now it's a little more fun. It's still mid, but it's a little more fun than that.
So then, like, even though I have rated, I think 2 books in the last 2 years. I read 2 books last year below a 3. I don't know if I actually got to a 2, but a 2 for me is like bad. I feel like if we're like looking at my scale, once we hit 3 to 4 isn't that big of a difference. 4 to 5 is a bigger difference. But then like 3 to 2, huge difference. So like I feel like yours are evenly spaced out. You're like 1 to 2. 2 to 3. And then
I would still say below 3 is still kind of like, that's me telling you I really didn't enjoy it. But to how far did I not like it? But the 3 to 5, I think, is fairly evenly spaced in my mind.
And for me, not that way.
What would make the difference between a 3 and a 4 then, in your mind?
I haven't finished 2 and 1.
I'm sorry. I'm like, you made that comment, and then I was like, my brain's going. I want to know.
You're the meme with all of the numbers. So the 2 for me is just, it was a bad book. I shouldn't have finished reading it. It was, for me, not a good book. And since I've started posting reviews online, I've tried to also be a little bit more better about DNFing because I don't think it's fair if something isn't in my taste. So like if I'm like halfway through a book and I'm like, I am not going to have a good time, I'm not going to give it a good rating, then why would I keep going? Like I said, there were 2 books that like lived in the 2 range last year. And one was this is probably a hot take. I'm hurting a lot of people's feelings right now, but one was Outlander. It was a little bit too graphic for me, especially without a content warning. And people are like, oh, but it's been on TV for years. TV shows are always different than the movie or than the books. Mm-hmm. And like hearing it, because I listened to it on audiobook, it just wasn't for me. And then my other one that lived in the 2-star range was a Christmas romance where I just felt everything was too stereotyped. And like there were parts that I enjoyed. It ended up being like a 2.75 star. And I remember that one because it's a lot closer in time.
That's a much higher rating than I would have guessed you were going to give it based on the way you were just talking about it.
Well, it got a 0.5 star boost because it was a debut novel.
Okay.
Debut novels, if I'm struggling with it, I always try and give it like a 0.5 star
benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, because I'm like,
it's like bumpers on like you're bowling and they get a little bumper.
I mean, go back and look at my first videos. They're not as good as what I'm putting out now. Like in a year from now, this video is going to be mid. Hopefully I keep getting better. And like I loved the idea and I liked a lot of different parts of it, but I couldn't get past. So I guess if I ever end up doing like 2s, there were parts that I liked about it, but I couldn't get past it. Mm-hmm. But it's worse than your 3. Like my 2s are still worse than your 3. Mm-hmm. But I feel like my 3s are higher than your 3s.
I would agree with that.
And then my 1s, I don't rate stars. I don't rate stars. I don't rate.
This is the same. I'm like, that star is fine.
That's it.
It's okay. It's mid.
It's mid. I don't rate books 1 star. For me, if like that's just a DNF. If you really hated a book that much that you're going to rate it 1 star, why did you finish it?
Okay, can I ask a question? Because I was already thinking this anyways. So you rate your DNFs? Because like
no.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to say, I'm like, of the, I think 2, maybe 3 books that I've DNF'd, I just didn't rate them. Because I do see where people do rate their DNFs. And I'm like, I don't feel like that's always fair. Because I'm like, well, you maybe didn't get to the part of the story that could have added to it. And like, that's okay. It didn't vibe with you.
I think on Fable, it might make you rate it. But I'm not sure.
I think you can skip over it. Because it lets you skip over most of the stuff. Because I don't rate anything beyond my star on Fable.
And I don't think it really gives you the option on the StoryGraph to rate it if you mark it as DNF. Maybe it does, but I don't.
We'll double check as you continue.
I don't. If I DNF it, I don't rate it. I move it on my Goodreads to the DNF shelf. Mm-hmm. I mark it as DNF on my other book tracking apps. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think you can find.
Okay, you don't rate it, but it does let you put a reason for it.
Yes, and I think that's important.
And it does tell you how far you got. So, like, I can see the book that I DNF'd, I got to 47%, and I really tried that day on this one.
And I think the reason you DNF is important, but I don't rate it. And I also don't give 1 stars because if I'm really not having that good of a time, if you give 1 stars, I think that's great. Maybe our star system is different. I have a friend that I was reading a book and I went to enter in my like little 3-star rating. I'm like, it was a good book. And her rating was 1 star. And I was like, ooh.
Dang.
Yeah. And like valid reasons. But that's just not how I don't get to 1-star territory. I just didn't finish it. Why put myself through that? Why put you guys through that?
Mm-hmm.
Why put the author through that?
Mm-hmm.
But now going back to better things. So my 4 stars is like, so my 3 stars, it's a good book. If I know that you like the genre, I'm going to recommend it to you. If you're like trying out new things, I'll be like, hey, here's a book. I really liked it. I gave it 3 stars. It wasn't my favorite thing ever, but if you're trying something new and you think you might like it, I liked it enough. Mm-hmm. It was a good book. My 4 stars is like either I wish I could stay in the world longer, or I'm moving immediately on to the next book in the series.
Okay.
And living in this universe.
Okay.
So that's like the biggest difference for me. And 3 to 4 stars is not that. It's hard for me to distinguish sometimes because there can be like a really good book and I'm like, yeah, but I'm okay moving on. I'm like, okay, it was a good book.
Well, that's for rating in general. It's vibes.
It's vibes.
And that's where like me being like my 4 is the I enjoyed the story all the way through is my like marker where I'm like, hey, half the book you still were kind of like, oh, it was boring, but I really enjoyed the ending.
That's a 3 for you.
It's like probably maybe a 3.5.
Okay,
because again we're getting, but
there's some good things.
But Goodreads, then it's me figuring out, okay, well, which way does it sway at that point? So that may move up to a 4.
I have a comment. I'm gonna hold my comment based off that. But then to like close out my stars, a 5 star for me is like, holy crap.
So do you have to have it like life changing? Because I remember we had a friend come to a game night recently, and she, I think, made a comment about the amount of 5 stars that I had, and she was like, "Oh, she was like, oh, you just give them out. I have to feel like my life has changed and has been impacted." And I'm like, nah,
no.
No, I just like really vibed with it, and I just want everyone else to read this now so I can talk about it.
I need other people to read it. I will be like, you need to read this. It was super, super good.
I'm going to bring it up in conversation just because I want you to hear about this book I read.
I don't need my life to be changed. It's just like a really good book. 5 stars to me will like really differentiates 5 stars from 4 stars beyond the vibes and like really loving it. Because like a 4-star book, I just want to live in the universe longer. Like that's still really good, I think. Mm-hmm. 5 stars, like not only was I really vibing with it, but like it was really well written. Like I didn't see any inconsistencies. Like I didn't catch myself thinking like, wait, that doesn't make sense because you said XYZ. You said this person was back at the boathouse, but then how did they get from the boathouse to the dock in that amount of time? Like that doesn't make sense.
I love, most of the time I'm like, I'm just reading for vibes that I go, I'll let it happen. It has to be something really crazy for me to go like, hold on.
And I agree, but like I read a couple of things where I'm like, how did they get here? We were just making out in the backseat of my Toyota, and now and it's like now we're already at home and eating dinner. Like I don't know. There are just some things where like you gotta suspend your disbelief. Unless you're reading a nonfiction, like you're reading a memoir or something, there's gonna be something that you have to suspend your disbelief for.
And I think part of the reason, so this was multiple thoughts, but some of it ties back into it. So part of my ranking will come, or like, like a background thought will be, how much did I want to get back into my audiobook throughout the day? Like, was I okay putting it down for hours, or was I constantly like, okay, I'm done doing this work thing, I can listen to it again? And so that can obviously be a 3, 4, 5 marker in its own sense. But with that, I think a book to me that's a 5, I'm less likely to run into those kind of instances. Mm-hmm. And those would be the times that I really would be more likely to notice, because I think sometimes with my 3s and 4s, I might just mark it up to, oh, maybe you just tuned out for a second and I just missed something.
That's fair.
And so I think that sometimes I just like write things off and go, you just weren't paying attention.
That is a really good point though. Like for me, like another indicator of like, is this going to be a 3, 4, or 5? Like, how is this going? Is
how distracted did you get?
Well, like, how much do I want to pick up the book again?
Mhm.
Do I want to ignore my responsibilities and stay up late? Do I want to cancel shooting a video with Brandi because I want to finish reading a book?
How did you rate that book?
It was a 3 stars. It was a reread.
It's only a 3-star to cancel plans with me. That's okay. I didn't want to leave my couch. There's snow outside.
I was trying to do it all in one day. I picked it up at like 9 a.m. and I was trying to finish it. We had to go get Matt a tattoo.
Look at that. We both finished a book yesterday. But it sounds like you enjoyed yours more than I did. But I also rated my book a 3.
Just a whole bunch of 3 stars over here.
But we had very different reading experiences.
I think your quarter marks are more distinctive than mine are. So whenever I, on Goodreads, have like, even if it's a 3.25, it's 4 stars. And then I put in parentheses 3.25 stars. I always round up. I guess, I don't want to say always. Maybe for 3.25, I round down.
But you're more likely to err on rounding up.
Definitely 3.5 and 3.75 are always going to get a 4. Same with any 0.5s or 0.75s. They're always going to be rounding up. 3.25s, I feel like it depends on literally how I'm feeling that day.
See, I would say Goodreads is normally where I'm going to go and rate it first, because if I can easily go, you're 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, it's pretty easy to then go back to the other apps and say, okay, here's how I want to get specific. But there are times that I don't know exactly how I feel about a book, like, ooh, where do I want to put this? And I will force myself to go to StoryGraph or Fable and try to distinguish, okay, where am I putting it in terms of a 0.225, 0.5, or 0.75? And from there, that will help me distinguish, okay, well, you made it a 0.25. Okay, we're going to round it down, or vice versa. And it's more of like, how much credit do I want to give to this book? Because again, for me, moving it to a 4 is me really saying I enjoyed it. So, I don't want to just put everything there. Granted, I do still use 4 a lot.
Yeah.
But I don't want to come back to it and be like, oh, that book wasn't that great.
So I do something similarly on the apps. I go write my review at Goodreads first because I might have to do the in parentheses, like,
which I've picked up from you. I do it every once in a while. Not always.
I'll every once in a while put like, or not, like, if I blah 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 blah. Because sometimes I'll need to use the parentheses because I can't do the quarter stars. I start there. But the first place I rate a book is on my notes app on my phone. Every year I start a new note and I like rank them. So then when I finish a book, I'm like, ooh, I liked this book more in this moment than the book I just finished reading. I rated the last book that I just finished reading 3 stars. I like this more. Do I like this more as a 3-star, or do I like it enough more that it's 3.25 stars? And I think that will also lead me to later in the year being like, why did I like this book so much? Because then this one was definitely in between them. And then I'm like, where do I put it?
No, I think sometimes it really is hard because I don't want to you don't want to lean too much into the whole book hangover, but you don't want to give it too much time either. And I think it's a fine line, and it's nice when you can come out of a book and you know exactly how you want to rate it.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, we texted last week where I finally finished the physical book that I was reading, which I'm so proud of myself. We're a month into the year, or I guess technically now 2, and I've read 1 physical book, which is like half of the amount that I read last year. We're trying. We are trying. My goal is to read 6 physical.
Her total so far this year is 33 books. That's insane. That's amazing.
That's not including the one that I got halfway through and DNF'd, or the one that I'm over halfway through that I started this morning. But we were talking about the book that I recently finished, and I finished it and I was really frustrated because I didn't know how I wanted to rate it. And like, this was a lot of where I was going back and forth between a 3 and a 4. Because a 3 in my mind is like, I didn't really like it that much, versus a 4 is I really enjoyed it. How do I want to put it on Goodreads? Because that's a very large swing in my mind, even if everyone else doesn't see it that way. But for me, I know, hey, I'm putting some weight in this if I round it up.
I have, I think, maybe like one more question for you before we wrap up the video. And this is something that I feel like the more I read, the more I know what I like. And like, even if I try something like new, I'm trying it maybe in something adjacent to what I know I'm going to like, which means I'm rating more books 3, 4, 5 stars because I read over 100 books last year. It's pretty good data of what did I like and what didn't I like. What should I lean into? And I feel like we're both mood readers. You can correct me if I'm wrong in a minute. And I can kind of sense the vibe in which I'm going. But because I know I really like XYZ, and I'm not a big fan of ABC, the books that I get for myself to read are more likely to be 3, 4, 5s. And then I don't even really, the 1 or 2 off books that I have that would be below a 3 for me, the reason they're below a 3 is because I thought I was going to like them, and then I persisted, and I didn't. I really love Christmas romances or holiday romances. I love a good Hanukkah rom. So then in December, when I had a holiday romance, that I'm like, I should be liking this. This is my jam. And it wasn't hitting. Then it's like even harder for me. So I guess my question for you is going from pretty recently being like, I'm not a reader to like, no, like I enjoy a good audiobook. I love reading. Like I know what I like. Do you think as you get more into it, you will be like me and be like more maybe discerning on what you're going to pick out? I know one of your goals is to try new things, which I think is great, especially for being a new reader.
I was going to say my answer is yes and no. So yes, in the fact that I know I love historical fiction. I also enjoy mysteries. I enjoy thrillers. Depending on the type of sci-fi, I really enjoy sci-fi. And so I can read a description and go, okay, I think this is going to hit enough of those things that I like, that I should like this one versus I shouldn't. And so those are most of the time pretty easy to pick up and go, okay, I'm in a reading rut. Let's pick one up that I should get through pretty quickly.
Yeah.
The problem is I am actively really trying to push my reading right now. And so, you know, in the month of January, I read 33 books, but I really pushed to add nonfiction in there. And I got 15% of that to be nonfiction, which is absolutely crazy. But those were really hard. And those I felt like I was pushing through, and I'm like, I'm really trying. And so it's one of those where I'm like, I don't want to rate those poorly because they're not what I would normally pick up and read, but I'm not reading them for the same thing as I do my other books. And I don't know if that really answers your question, but that's kind of where my brain is going, is the books that I know I'm going to pick up, I do agree are going to tend to fall into, or the books that I know that I already kind of like do tend to skew that way for the most part. But I am trying to venture on that to also make sure I'm not only reading World War II books about this strong female heroine that does whatever. I'm like, okay, we can find some other books in here. So I'm like, I'm trying to push so far out of my normal boundaries that right now it's kind of all over the place. Like your answer, did you answer my question? Yes and no. Yeah. No. Yeah, that's why I was like, there's a lot to this that we could like unpack in itself. Okay, its own video. Okay, I only have one more question that I want to ask. I was going to say, do you have anything else before we wrap things up? I have 1.5 actually. Okay, first, we'll keep this one short because it's the one I care less about. Noted. But it's only because it ties to what I just was saying. Do you rate nonfiction differently than fiction? Because for me, I do have a slightly different rating, and it's because I give more benefit of the doubt to like a nonfiction book. Because I'm like, a lot of times this isn't so much as like, ooh, such fun story. So like a 3 is a nicer rating for me. No, for me, my ratings are my ratings. Okay. And I think, again, that's circling back to what I said of, I know what I am interested in. I'm in a point right now where I'm not necessarily wanting to push a lot of like different nonfiction because what's going on in my outside world is enough for right now. So maybe in the future that might be the case. But for me, the nonfiction I read is like women's memoirs. I read one of Carrie Fisher's memoirs. You rated that well. It was a 3-star. It was a good book. It was a good book. I think your parentheses was 3.5, and that's why I think that may have been one of the books that specifically spurred this, where I was like, the way you wrote this and your comment, I am confused. And you know what? It might be a 3.5 stars.
still a good book. But also it's very like specific to me. I love Star Wars. I grew up on Star Wars. Yeah. I tried to listen to a Star Wars audiobook in January. I wasn't going to get one in time. And I'm like, Carrie Fisher's Star Wars autobiography can be my Star Wars book for this year. Oh, it definitely counts. And it was really cool. I think one of the things that can influence it is if the author is the narrator and they're a good narrator.
Just in general, if it's a good narrator.
Well, if it's a bad narrator, I'm not going to listen to it.
Yeah.
But like I've listened to some autobiographies that I've really enjoyed, but the author has been the narrator, and I'm like, okay. But like Carrie Fisher, her voice is amazing. And like I could picture her so vividly. So yeah, for me, like I'm very, I guess at this point in my life, particular about what I'm picking up and what I am consuming and what that means to me.
Okay. I respect it.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be crazy if I was like, I don't respect it, but okay, on to the next.
Like, I guess that you can have that opinion and it sucks.
It's fine. Okay.
She's like, I hope Mackenzie does cry after this video.
Okay, so my last question, and I did debate asking this at the very start, but I wanted us to at least talk about where our ratings fell before asking this. So it kind of was just like, we'll see where it
Are you about to change my whole world right now?
I don't know. I would love that. Wouldn't that be crazy?
It'd be wild. It'd be a wild way to end this video.
If you are looking at a new book, you know, you're just like, hey, let me look. I saw this book at the store. Let me look it up on StoryGraph or Goodreads or whatever and like see how it's rated. If you see something is rated a 3.0, what's like not even getting to like, oh, it's a 0.5, it's a point whatever. Like you see it's rated a 3 whatever. To you, does that mean it's a good book? And I'm thinking again closer to like a 3.0.
It's weird because I don't necessarily look at like that rating. If I'm looking at reviews, I'm not looking at, based on all the reviews we have, this is the average. I don't pay that attention. Okay. If I'm looking at reviews, I'm actually going to the reviews and then I do two things. The first thing I do is I read through what like the 3 reviews that are on the front page. And then if that hasn't helped me, I click in to the 5-star tab and then I click into the 1-star tab if there are 1 stars, or I click into the lowest stars there are to see why didn't people like this book, but why did they?
Okay. Because I was going to say, I try not to read too many reviews only because I'm like, I don't want an accidental spoiler that someone doesn't realize maybe is a spoiler.
Right.
So I'm not going to say I don't read them, but I try typically not to. But I've also come to realize that a lot of times the rating of a book or like the average rating does line up relatively okay to like, did I enjoy it or did I not? And so thinking about, again, just like how I rate it, like if I see a book is rated a 3, I'm like, oh, it's probably not a good book. So that's where like in my mind, me rating it a 3 is me saying like, it's not that great. It's not a book that I would probably pick up. Whereas if I'm see it's at least a 3.5, I go, still may not be that great, but it's better than if it was a 3.
So I guess,
and I want my ratings to help bring it closer to a 4. Because to me, seeing a 4, I go, oh, people like this.
Well, I guess I see why you do that, and I can appreciate that you see why I go into. I get not wanting accidental spoilers. The issue I get with that, especially with Goodreads, is like you have people that like there's really like no accountability.
Yeah.
And like say Allie Hazelwood is a great example. I think she's a great author. I love what she does on her platform. Her platform is normally to promote new authors. She had an opinion about the Hunger Games and said it in a very lighthearted, joking manner, meaning it as a joke.
I don't remember what it was, but I do feel like I remember this being a thing.
And people went in and they bullied her off of the internet. She's no longer on social media. And they went in and like purposely started leaving 1-star reviews, even if they've never read her book, because they can. So that's why I don't necessarily, and on the positive side, or maybe not positive, on the opposite side of that thing, with Goodreads, you can get people who haven't read the book yet and don't have an advanced reader copy.
We'll rate it a 5.
We'll rate it a 5 and be like, I'm so looking forward to this. 5 stars. And like, I'm glad that you're looking forward to that book. You haven't read it. So
yeah,
I don't.
Not hot take judging for the people that do that. And I will own that. Don't do that. You're not being helpful.
Maybe don't do it either way. Don't.
Yeah, well, yeah. Either side, don't do it. But in general, read the book and then rate it.
There's something wrong with the author. We need to find a new way, because there are,
yes,
there are
don't
authors.
engage with their book.
Yeah,
that actually will probably help the algorithm more by you not engaging.
But like, I would like to know, like, I've heard rumors of authors, and I'm like, and I try and do my own research, and I can't find anything. So I'm like, I guess it's okay that I read this and like spend my money on them, because I haven't found anything. But I've heard murmurings online that they're not like who we should be supporting.
Mm-hmm.
But it's hard when you do your own research and nothing leads to it. But I think there's a better place to do that than in the reviews, especially if you have not read the book.
Mm-hmm. And I will say, even if it's a low score, there are times that I will still read it.
Yeah.
If I think it sounds interesting enough and I see that it's rated like a high 2, I'll still give it a shot. I'm going in with lower hopes, but I will still give it a shot. But if I'm kind of like on the fence and I see it's rated a little bit lower, then I'm like,
yeah,
hey, you know what? I might still add it to my TBR, but I'm going to be more selective on that.
I'm also pretty bad of like, especially if it's like a library book, I will start listening to it, and then if I'm like kind of like, I don't know, then I'll go in and see why people didn't like it. If I think it sounds interesting, I'm going to start it. And then if I'm like, what am I listening to? Then I go back and then I go, what's going on? If I'm purchasing a book, I might do it beforehand.
That makes sense if you're purchasing. I do everything off of like the Libby app and Hoopla that most of the time there's not really any stakes to it.
You don't have a hoarding problem?
No. I have a hoarding problem in other ways, but not with books. Which actually, I'm going to be so proud. I have selected at least one book to be one of my books that I will read this year. I need to finish the one that I paused. That is good. Mm-hmm. It just, the font's so little and there's so many pages that I'm like, I'll read it and I'll be like, oh, I spent so much time. And it's like, you are 12% of the way through this book. And I'm like, this is demoralizing. So that's why I don't like reading physical books, because it makes me feel like a bad reader. Audiobooks, I'm like, it's been an hour and I'm 47% of the way through it.
Audiobooks, you come into my home and be like, 2.2 isn't that fast of a speed. And you're like, it sounds like normal talking. And it's like
acknowledge it was
the scene from Brooklyn Nine-Nine where they're all like hyped up on caffeine and Boyle runs in and he's like, guys, I'm talking normal. You're all talking fast. That was
okay, but I could tell that was still sped up, but I don't think it sounded like a normal 2.2. And I only was listening to it that fast. I want to say I've only listened to 2 books at this speed. One of them was the nonfiction that I finished yesterday that I just needed to finish before the end of the month, and I was like, well, you can't bring this into the next month. And then the book that I started today started up at that speed, so I was just like, let's just see what happens, and figured I will be bringing it back. And I was like, oh.
Also, to be fair to you, because I was kind of poking fun at Brandi, to be fair to you.
I speak really fast to begin with.
Yes, but
my brain can comprehend fast. Let's go.
Like, you work yourself up to that. Like, I'll start almost all my audiobooks on 1.15. And then as I'm listening, I'm like, oh, this narrator's faster. I can stay here. Or, oh, like, the Hunger Games audiobooks, Tatiana Maslany, I will always listen to that on normal speed because I love her voice. But then, like, for most audiobooks, within the first 2 chapters, I've worked myself up higher than that until I feel comfortable. And your brain just gets used to processing the information at the higher speed.
Yeah, I would say I start most books. I mean, I start books at whatever I ended the last one at. And then we kind of judge from there. If I'm like, because if the first person comes on and they're like, let's wrap this video up because this is not about this topic. Okay. I realized, I was like, you're probably going to cut this bit. So we'll save you some phone battery. I was like, but we will have a whole discussion about this.
All right.
We could just always restart the video and be like, all right, so we're back for a new thing.
Hello.
Well, friends, thank thank you so much for hanging out with us. I would love, and I mean, I'm sure Mackenzie would love, but we would love on her channel to hear what you think about your ratings, how they compared to us, if anyone leans towards me, because I feel like I'm kind of in the minority of how I vote. I feel like more people lean towards you, where 3 is a good.
I think maybe more people are like in the middle of us. I think more people lean towards you in the fact that their spacing out is even.
Okay.
But then maybe lean more towards me of like 3 is still a good book. I don't know.
Let us know. And if you're sitting there thinking, I have opinions, but I'm not going to leave them, stop that. Leave a comment because we want to know. But thank you guys. Anything else you want to add at the end of your own video?
This is, like I said, babe, this is your video. I'm just along for the ride. Let us know how you liked Brandi hosting. I think she did a great job.
Yeah, if you want more chaos, we can figure that out. We'll think of more ideas. All right. Thanks, guys.
Until next time. Bye.
Bye.